All right, everybody, it is now April 1915, the Central Powers turn. The British were parked right here trying to get out of France when they were hit by a couple army groups of Germans. There was one unit was destroyed, and then they had demoralized and fell back to the port. So they are still moving along with some damage, but they are still hanging in there. The rest of the German units, I'm not sure exactly because France fell, but I still really haven't taken these cities yet. So, like these. And, so the German units are moving along their rail lines trying to take all these different cities and stuff that you see in the background back here. So that's what they're doing. And then they're moving units towards the eastern front by foot. It's going to take them a long time unless they get on a rail. But they can only rail 12 units, 30 hexes. So they moved a few units from the western front to the eastern front, but still, it's a long slog. It's going to take them a long time before they can start moving units over there. Obviously, Bulgaria is in the war, but the problem is with Bulgaria, you got nobody to fight. They're not at war with, let's say, the Romanians. They don't have anything to go with them. There's no Serbs over here. They're not at war with the Ottomans, and they're not at war with Greece. So they just kind of like, we're at war with people, but we can't do anything. Because their area of operation is basic, I think 5 or 7 hexes. Basically through here. Unless the Romanians come into the war, then they can go out to here. 7 hexes off the Romanian border. So, if that does happen, if they do go to war with, let's say, Romania, they could get to Odessa. That's it. So that's pretty much the effect they have in the game right now. So, yeah, they came to the war, but they're really not doing anything. Same with the Ottomans. The only thing the Ottomans are doing is tying up Russian and British units. That's it. Now, over here, as we troll along, the Austrians did a attack. There was a unit right here, and they did a major attack with a bunch of army groups. Attacked here, got it, basically exchanged out with the Russian units that were parked there, and they got their butts handed to them. They took the hex, they killed off the Russians, but they lost major amounts of firepower in the process. Now, the Germans, they hit this group right here. They had surrounded this Russian unit here on 3 sides and attacked here, and basically almost did the same thing. They took out the Russians, but it was an exchange in the process. So it wasn't a very good thing for them. A lot of Germans and Austrians have lost their lives, along with the Russians. And then they advanced over here. The Russians fell back to form a new line, so they're going to start digging in along their fort line right there, probably. And obviously you can see some units that are moving up to the front. So that is it. That's the full extent of the Central Powers turn. There was a little bit of combat, but it's pretty meager at the moment. All right, we'll be back. All right, here it is. The Allied turn, 1915 April. And you see that over here in Britain, there's 6 corps. And I say these 6 corps. The German spies that happen to be around sent information, said the British are moving troops to ships. We're not sure what happened to them. They disappeared. They're out to sea. So that makes the Germans very nervous. Why did a bunch of British military units disappear out of the island? And they also know that the United States has declared war on the Central Powers, and the Americans are gearing up and mobilizing their troops. They have no troops at the moment in Europe. They're all over the United States, loading up and training. Right now we know that the big red one, is out there somewhere being trained. They will not show up until I think it's October, November. There won't be any American troops showing up in Europe until then. So it's going to take some time for the training up and transportation. So over here, obviously there's more troops. The British are loading up in the Middle East. It looks like there's a war going on against the Ottomans. Over here, the Russians, after taking a big wallop in that last offensive, rebuilt some troops, moved them up, and they're forming a line here. They're having problems. They're running low on troops, so it's not a good deal for them. As the Germans are moving their troops over from the Western Front to the Eastern Front, it may not be long before it's going to be the same thing. It's a lot of territory that the Germans and Austrians have to take, so it's going to take a long time to slog across this. Months. It could take a year before they even get to Moscow, if they get to Moscow. So, yeah, we'll find out what happens there. So other than that, okay, this is the British commander. We're loading our troops up and we're heading over there. They're heading into the Mediterranean. That's why you don't see them. They're on transports heading to the Med. We're not sure. There's an invasion going to happen someplace around here. We're not sure. But we'll find out soon. All right. Bye. All right, everybody. It is April of 1915. As you can see here, this is what's going on right now. The redeployment has begun, so we're in the reinforcement phase of the game. France has fallen. Submarines are running around in the North Atlantic, taking on Britain. And the war is still continuing over here on the Eastern Front. So now we have to determine Bulgaria and the United States. And we're just going to find out what's going on with these guys. Okay, now, Bulgaria. Roll every 6 months, so it is April 1915. Join the Central Powers on a roll of 9 or more. Dice roll modifiers. -1 if Central Powers major city is controlled by an allied player. There is none. +1 for each Russian major city, except for Lodz, controlled by a Central Power player. We just have Central Power have Warsaw, so there's a +1. Central Power controls Kovno or Grodno or Brest. +1 for each city, no. Those are sitting right there. Those should be those. And Brest is right there. So, no. Let's see. Ottoman Empire has joined the Central Powers. Yes. So we have a +1, no minuses, and a +2. And we got to roll the die here. And what do we need? 9 or better. So we got a +2. So on a 7, they join the war. And a 7. So Bulgaria has joined the war. All right. Now, the next one, the United States. This is the United States here. Okay, every 12 months, so it's April 1915. Allies, join the Allies on a 0. So we got to roll a 0 or less. Dice roll modifiers. Submarine warfare is in effect. Yes, there are submarine warfare affecting the Allies right now, which is a -1 to Britain's effectiveness for their replacement stuff. Okay. So -2 for the Central Powers controls Paris. They control all of France. Okay, so there's a -2, -4. Wow, this is looking not so good. They did not invade Netherlands. Not 1916, 1917. We got a +1 if the Allied player declared war on the Netherlands. No, they did not. United States joins in 1915. Okay, there's blah, 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 blah. It's just talking about reserves and stuff. All right, so we have a -2, -4. So we got a -4 to the die roll. So on a 4 or less, the United States joins the war. Welcome to the party, pal. All right, so United States joins the war. Bulgaria joins the war. So this is going to be interesting. So we got the United States and Britain taking on the Central Power. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. And I have to figure out what's going on there. All right. Anybody else? Romania does not go till 1916 February, so we're not have to worry about that for a while. Heck, they could be invaded by then. Let's see what they join the Allies on a 3 or less. Join the Central Powers on a roll of 12 or more. So they're August 1916 and thereafter. Wow. Okay, so in February. -1 the Allied control Warsaw. They do not. -1 Central Power player. Major city controlled by. Wow, for each Central Power. -1 for each Central Power. Major city controlled by the Allies. There is none. The United States is in the war. Ooh. Central Power controls Paris. Okay, each Russian major city except for Lodz controlled by the Central Power. All right, so these guys are going to be greatly affected by each major city that falls in Russia. So, you don't have to worry about it for about a year. Well, I guess it's February, so some come winter, if the war is still going on. Now, speaking of the war, if this was December right now, 1916, the war would be over because of all the, they control basically all of France right now. So the war continues because according to the thing, you start looking at victory points when it comes towards the end, like 1916, 1918. Landmark years, I guess, December. So there we go. We'll be back with the Central Powers turn.